I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Yo, what's up? Mike from Coppville here to talk about Tasty Gains creatine gummies. I would never push a product I don't use. I didn't take creatine until I ran into Tasty Gains and started taking these gummies because they're simple. No powder, no mixing, just pop a gummy in, 1 gram of creatine per gummy. What are the benefits of creatine? Increase water to the muscles to get that sick pump in the gym. Better recovery, more power during your workout, and studies are now showing it's helping with the brain, which I need all the help I can get. So go to tastygains.com, use code COPVILLEOG for 20% off. This is the real deal, simple, easy, and we'll get that pump going so you look good for the ladies or men. What's going on, guys? Mike from Coppville here with another episode of Locked Up with Coppville, and I have a guest today that is this story is gonna blow your mind. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. I have former Broward County Sheriff Deputy Greg LaCerra. What's going on, Greg?
Hey, how are you, Mike? Thanks for having me.
Good. And you and your story is 99% of the reason why I started this and felt it was important to give cops a voice to get these stories out, because the media portrays these incidents in their own spin, and the politicians portray these incidents in their spin. And as I learned, when you're on the other end of an IA or a demotion or some type of critical incident, you don't ever get to really tell your story. You know, you try to explain to people what happened, you try to give your best account of what happened, but there's nowhere to do it. So that's why we started this. I'm going to let you, we have video of the incident. I'm going to let you kind of lay the groundwork about how you ended up at this incident, and then we'll let you tell your story. So
Okay.
Tell us what happened.
So yeah, in 2019, this incident happened at a plaza in the city of Tamarack. I was assigned to the Tamarack district for the Broward Sheriff's Office. And just to go back like a year before that, when I got into the district, I became the street crimes sergeant for the district. And I remember responding to the plaza one of my first times, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? You know, there's kids all over the place, and they're fighting, and they're disrupting the entire plaza and all the businesses that they have there. About a mile from there is a retirement community where they bus the senior citizens in to shop at the Publix. So I just remember asking my guys, "Hey, what is this all about? What do we have to do? What have you guys been doing about this?" And they're saying this is going on for years, and all they do is show up, try to break up fights. Hopefully, no one gets stabbed or shot or their head kicked in, and that's it. You know, and it kind of bothered me. It kind of bothered me. It's like, well, we can't just do this every day. You know, we have other things going on.
It's one of those like broken window stories where everybody just overlooks it, and when you get a guy like you, as soon as I hear street crimes, I know exactly what kind of cop you are, so I know what you do. As soon as I hear that, and then I think you come in with this brain going, why are we letting people get away with this? Like, this is not what we do. Like, we have to stop this behavior. And when you come in late to the game, to that district, I'm sure you're looking at it like, how did it get to this point? Like, when did we allow this chaos to happen? So I can imagine it blew your mind when you saw that behavior.
Yeah, it did, and it seemed like it just kept on getting worse and worse and escalating, and there was more people, and it wasn't just kids from the local high school, which is Taravella High School, which is that's in the city of Coral Springs, but it's only a quarter of a mile away from the city of Tamarack. So the kids leave the school and they go to the plaza where there's a McDonald's, a Publix, but they hang out at the McDonald's. So much so that the McDonald's locks the doors and doesn't let anybody in, you know?
And when we say kids, we're talking about like gang member like kids in quotate. These are high school kids that
they're
problem child kids, like adults showing up. This isn't like kids playing on the playground. These are like
no. And there's adults coming that show up there to watch the fights or participate in the fights. There's high school age kids coming from other schools to fight the Taravella kids. So I just remember there was a couple different fights that just really, I was just shaking my head, and I'm like, I can't believe we're doing this. You know, someone elderly is going to get run over by a car, or is going to get trampled by the group that's there. And we're talking hundreds of kids almost every day. Okay. And, you know, I remember complaining to the school and went and had a meeting with the principal. Like, why you guys need to start suspending these kids or expelling them from school. Well, they're not on school grounds. And my argument was, if they're not on school grounds, then why did I see you, Mr. Principal, and two assistant principals at the McDonald's?
Yeah.
If it's not a
Seeing who's
school
there.
function,
Yeah.
why the fuck are you there? Right?
Yeah.
So we didn't get any cooperation from them either. And, you know, it kept on escalating. So the day before this incident happened, me and two of my guys, I think it was two or three of my guys, responded to the fight. We were at lunch. We had to break our lunch. We go to a fight. There's a huge fight. It came across the radio. And we get there. I was the first one there. And there was this older gentleman that had just walked out of the McDonald's. He was getting some McDonald's for his grandkids. His car is destroyed on one side. He had nothing to do with this. He came running up to me. I told him, hey, you're going to have to wait a minute because I had my hands full being the only cop on scene at first. And there's hundreds of kids there. After it all settled down, you know, he had like $5,000-6,000 worth of damage to his car. Again, he was just at the McDonald's. He had no idea that this happened, you know. One of my guys ends up taking the report because he was working patrol that day. And he turns out to be one of the guys that got in trouble with me.
So this is just a flat out, just chaos. Every day, chaos. General law-abiding citizens are trying to move about their day, and hundreds of people are showing up as some fight club and just airing it out in the parking lot every day.
That's correct. And this particular fight is actually on video, and it was violent. A car screaming out that was involved with it, almost hitting people. It was just a violent thing. So we had good video of it. So about 45 minutes later, at that point in time, I'm actually running to the patrol. At that point in time, we get another call about 2 miles away where several subjects are chasing a male with a baseball bat. Now the updates are happening. Now that male with the baseball bat has just broken out windows to an apartment, you know, trying to get inside. So I respond to that. I had no idea that it was going to be connected until I got there. I get there, I get approached by a female who's screaming that, you know, they tried to hit her with the baseball bat. And I'm trying to figure out who called 911 because whoever called 911 was in the apartment. So we finally find the apartment, you know, we call them out. Two males come out. The one that lived there said, this guy that was with him, he knows him from school, but he doesn't really know him. And the guy was being chased with somebody was chasing him with baseball bats. So he ran into this kid's apartment to get away, and they break out all the windows to the apartment trying to get to him, right? So now we have ag assault with a deadly weapon and home invasion, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm there, and the one person that was being chased wasn't being cooperative with me. He's like, I don't know these kids. I'm like, come on, bro. You know these kids. You know who these people are. Why are they chasing you then? You know, and people just don't chase me down the street and they don't know me. You know, so you know, they know who you are and you know them. So it turns out the apartment that he was in, the kid comes up to me. He says, hey, he knows these guys. He just got into a fight with them, and he jumped somebody at the McDonald's about an hour ago. So he shows me a video, which is another video I probably should have shared with you, but it's the video of him jumping somebody, very violent, and where they're destroying this guy's car. So we have
your victim from McDonald's.
Yeah, from an hour ago. So we have it now. We have it on video. Now we have a suspect. So he tells me he doesn't know that's not him, and I'm like, you're wearing the same clothes. Come on, you're the same guy. You're a little fat kid, and you got the same clothes on in the video as you do right now. So we don't really get into it with him too much, other than I tell him, don't ever come back to that plaza ever again. Okay, if you do, you're going to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
the next day. So we ID'd the kid with the baseball bat. He's also in the video at the McDonald's. He's the one getting jumped from
So
this kid
so he goes and
at the
retaliates.
apartment.
Okay.
Correct. So we know, my guys know who he is. I have no idea who he is, but my guys do. So we go to his house. He's not there. So we're like, all right, we'll get on this the next day and start trying to find out where he's at. In the meantime, later on that night, Coral Springs Police Department calls one of my guys and says the Coral Springs butts up to Tamarack.
Mm-hmm.
So Coral Springs calls and says, hey, they're looking for the same suspect with the baseball bat for ag assault with a firearm and robbery.
There we go.
So the next morning, my guys tell me this. I'm like, well, that changes everything. So let's go try to find this kid. We knew the car he was in because the victim that had his car destroyed took a good picture of the tag and the car. And we have the car on video, but we can't see the tag. So it's a Mazda 6 Silver. I can tell you what it is now. It's got a temp tag on it. So we knew what we were looking for. So that day, we can't find him at home or anything else. Coral Springs is still looking for him for their crimes. So I tell my guys, hey, we're going to go to the plaza today, and we're just going to sit in the plaza. One of my guys who was really good at IDing people, which is one of the guys that got in trouble with me, Krikovich, he's just going to rove around the parking lot and try to find him by face or see the car. So, and one of my other guys is on one end of the plaza, I'm on the other, and Krikovich is driving around. So we're there. We tell the marked units to kind of stay out of the area because we were just looking for this car. Nothing's happening at this point. There's kids gathering, but kids gather every day, you know? So at some point in time, a whole bunch of people show up at one time. And then Coral Springs calls our dispatch and says, hey, there's a large amount of kids coming towards the plaza. So that happens, and not a minute later, a fight breaks out. So now we have to get out of our cars, the three of us. I get on the radio, try to tell the marked units to get in here, because now we have over 200 kids in this plaza. And it happened like snap of the fingers, boom, it blew up.
Yeah.
So now we got to get out of the car and we've got to go deal with this fight. You know, and the state attorney and Summit, the Broward Sheriff's Office, you know, said to us, you know, how could you guys, the three of you, get out of your cars and go deal with over 200 people? And I laughed at him. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? If I'm sitting in my car and watching this fight and some kid gets stabbed, some kid gets shot, some kid gets his head bashed in, then this is no different than the shooting at MSD where the cops sat there and did nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the same thing.
And what I hear, my 2 cents is, I have 2 thoughts. One, a lot of people are going to watch this, small town cops, and then my favorite, the old TikTok cops and the people that don't do anything. What you just described in a 24-hour period, some small town cops will never understand any of that in their entire career. And you're in one little section of Broward County that has hundreds of areas that have that same thing going on every day. You guys are dealing with it. 2, I'm sure nobody, when you got disciplined or they looked at the isolated incident, what you got in trouble for, nobody bothered to put the day of 24-hour lead up to all this, how violent and dangerous all these people were. There was guns involved. Everybody goes and looks at it from this very small scope when you have just laid out what is probably months of back and forth, years, back and forth, Instagram videos, calling this guy out, guns being flashed on Instagram, calling this guy out. None of that, I'm sure, is ever brought into the fact that you guys have all that intel, all these calls are going on, and now you're stuck in the middle of, 200 people with 3 of you. But you're right. You don't get out of your car and they find out you sat in your car.
Yeah.
You're going to be Scott Peterson down there and at the shooting. You're going to be a coward. You're going to lose credibility with everybody. So you have to get out of your car. So
yeah, we have to get out of the car. And to go back to the Scott Peterson MSD thing, I came to Tamarack actually when that happened, like a week later. And I just reminded my guys, listen, if there is a active scene or an active shooter or somebody stabbing somebody actively, whatever, you will go do what you got to go do. Okay. You can't, there are times you just can't wait for that backup.
Yeah.
You have to go save lives, and you better go do that. If you can't, if you're not like that, then you shouldn't be a cop.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be in my unit because out of, and you know this, the street crimes guys in the district, the patrol guys kind of look up to them because we
Yes.
get more training than them. So I reminded my guys, we get more training than the patrol guys. So they look up to you guys. So I want you guys to be the first ones in all the
Yep.
time. Be the leaders out there,
Correct. Yep.
So we're not sitting in our cars. And I told my guys, let's go. We're getting out of the cars. So we get out of the cars, and me and Krikovich go towards. I see him and he sees me, and we go towards the hundreds of people that are surrounding this fight. And we walk right in the middle of it, me and him. I don't know where the other guy is, Ralph Mackey. I have no idea where he's at. He was on the other side of the plaza. So me and Krikovich go in there and we start breaking it up, and we're telling him to get the fuck out of here. And I'm telling people I'm going to fucking pepper spray you. I had my pepper spray out. What's funny is the state attorney gave me a hard time because I said fuck a few times, just unbelievable. But
I'm sure
anyway,
the people involved were, I'm sure, highly offended by the F word.
Yeah. And I told the state attorney when I was on the stand, people don't understand when you ask them nicely.
No.
So you have to do what you got to do, right?
We all know, any real cop
joke.
understands that. Yeah, I know. Any real cop
joke.
understands that, and it's wild to me that I just had this conversation yesterday. Like, there are certain people you just can't talk nice to, and you have to use language and voice inflection and aggression to de-escalate these large situations. No, if you walked in there going, "Please, guys, hey, sir, please," nobody's fucking paying attention to you. Nobody's listening.
They don't even know what that means.
No, they hear, yeah, yeah, you're right. They don't understand manners. So you have to talk a certain way, and that's part of the hood, man. That's part of that area. That's part of working that stuff. And weak men create, hard times, and, hard men create good times. So it's like, you have to be hardcore. You have to go do these things. Somebody has to go into that crowd, say the F word, and fucking do it. Like, that's what there's certain guys, that's what we were put here for, and somebody has to do it.
So, we go in the middle of it, and we break it up, whoever was fighting. And we're trying to disperse the crowd. And, I've already got on the radio and said, hey, I need all the patrol units in here now. We asked Coral Springs to help us out, PD. So as me and Krikovich are, telling everybody to get the fuck out of there, I walk over towards where the incident actually happens. And I see the little fat kid from the day before, who I had told, don't come back here. Right? The same kid who did all the damage to the car. So I immediately grab his shirt and I tell him to get on the ground. He didn't want to get on the ground, so I forced him to the ground. It was very quick. All I did was grab the shirt and put him to the ground. We start to handcuff him, and we get surrounded. And I'm sure you've seen that part of the video. These kids came right on top of me and Krikovich. At that point in time, Krikovich is trying to handcuff him, and I'm trying to back everybody away from us. So the kid's phone comes out of his pocket, and it slides on the pavement, or the concrete that was right next to the pavement. And some girl and a male and a female try picking it up, and I push him away, and I kind of kick the phone back towards him, and it just slides on the concrete, and it goes all the way down past him on the other side of his body. And again, Krikovich is still trying to handcuff him at this time. And we have people right on top of us. So I now tell about 4 or 5 males to back up. One of them decides to go ahead and grab for the phone. I push him with my left hand. When he stands up, he bows up, blades his body, clenches his fist, and then he got fucking pepper sprayed. Perfect pepper spray.
Sounds reasonable. I think that you could have pepper sprayed long before that, honestly. To get everybody back and get everybody out of dispersed. I think you're well warranted to use pepper spray at that point.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You
In
know
my
what's
opinion.
no, and you're right. You're right. And I've told that story to people before. Like before I became a deputy, I was with the city of North Lauderdale. I was a city cop. And I remember we used to have problems in this one area. And I remember the street crimes guys would come out with a big can of pepper spray. And they'd pepper spray everybody to get them the fuck out, right? That was it.
Yeah.
Broward
Leave.
Sheriff's Office and police work now, the administrators, if you're going to pepper spray somebody, they need to go to jail. But in that case, I should have probably pepper sprayed the whole crowd to back them up. But in the back of my mind, I know how the Broward Sheriff's Office works, and not just BSO, but police work in general. Is oh, you got a cop just pepper spraying people and no one goes to jail. What did they do wrong? So anyway, I pepper spray that.
Unlawful assembly,
Yeah, there's
fray. They're committing some crimes. They're not
yeah,
dispersing
yeah.
upon being told. It's
No,
borderline
no.
like a fucking riot at that point. But
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
get-
we that's how our attorneys presented it, but of course the state attorney, so that's not a riot, it's just the state attorney, they're corrupt as hell too down
yes,
there.
yeah,
So
everywhere.
so I pepper spray him. I try grabbing him and he gets away. I just can't reach him. And then I had to take a couple steps towards him. I grab him by his backpack and I toss him back towards where Krikovich and Mackey, who the other deputy was, he finally shows up on scene. He was there, I just never saw him. He shows up, so I grab this kid and I toss him back toward on the ground, back where they were. And we're only talking 5 feet, 7 feet, something like that. And I put him to the ground. Well, Mackey and Krikovich come towards me now, where I put him on the ground, probably about 10, 15 feet away from where they are at with the other kid. And when I toss him to the ground, again, we're surrounded. I look up, I see Krikovich and Mackey coming towards me, and the kid that we handcuffed is laying prone on the ground with his hands behind his back. Okay. So I disengaged from my guy that I pepper sprayed and went over to him because he had people coming towards him on the ground. Defenseless. Listen, he's an arrestee. He's under arrest, but we're responsible for him,
Most responsible for
And
him.
yeah, he had just gotten into a fight where he jumped people. I was not going to allow him to get his ass kicked in handcuffs, because we own him now.
Yes.
So I go to him and I'm yelling at everybody to back up. When you watch the video, it's unbelievable how fast things happen and how much we got surrounded and how dangerous it was. So I turn around and they're just now handcuffing the kid that I pepper sprayed, and then the whole cavalry comes. It wasn't until later that I saw the video where Krikovich and Mackey are arresting him. And when you look at the video, it doesn't look pretty.
Police work's not pretty.
No use of force is pretty. They're all ugly. Uses of forces are supposed to be, in my eyes, they don't all have to be violent, but when you are telling someone that they're under arrest and they're not complying, you better be quick with what you're going to do. And if it has to be violent, then it's violent. Okay. But then the violence has to stop once he's under control. Because if you dance with this person or give 10 lawful orders to put his hands behind his back, you're giving him time to do things. Again, we were surrounded. We didn't have a lot. There was just 3 of us there at the time, so it has to be violent. It has to be fast. Right.
Yeah.
And so, Krikovich and them arrest him. When I looked at the video, I was like, it looks like, people were saying it looked like Krikovich was slamming his kid's head to the ground. His head never touched the ground. Okay. We went to court. Krikovich won. The jury was, they spent more time eating the pizza during their deliberations than it took them to make their decision.
What was he charged with? Battery?
So, yeah, I was charged with 2 counts of battery, 1 for pepper spraying him, 1 for tossing him to the ground. And then we were charged with falsification of police reports and conspiracy to falsify police reports. Krikovich,
felonies, those ones?
no, misdemeanors.
They're all
They're all
misdemeanors? Okay.
misdemeanors. Yeah.
Okay.
So then Krikovich had 2 counts of battery, um, and 2 counts of falsification of police reports and conspiracy. And Mackey had falsification of police reports and conspiracy to falsify. We were charged by the state attorney. We weren't charged by BSO.
So let's watch a video and then we'll go into how that went down. So let me go here. Bring this bigger. And then go. All right, it's gonna happen quick.
Shoving Roll in the head and spraying him in the face. A second deputy shown punching and shoving Roll's head to the ground did not have his motion granted. That officer was fired from BSO. Sergeant LaCerra is on restricted duty. The Broward State Attorney's Office tells CBS 4 News they plan to appeal.
So this is the kid where my mouse is, right? You
Yes.
pepper sprayed him, and that's you grabbing him. And
Yes.
then we end up back here. There he is, ready to go to church, right? So here
A
is
shoving Roll in the head.
that's the grab you're talking about. So sprayed,
And
grab,
spraying him in the-
tossed backwards, and then this is him. This is the guy, other partner you're talking about that got charged as
Yeah.
well.
Face.
Yes.
A second deputy shown punching
He's
and
not, yeah. His hands in between him and the ground. He's not slamming his head. He's trying to get control of his head.
shoving
Very
Roll's
simple
head
to
to
see.
the ground did
And
not have his motion granted.
Yeah, he's
That
pushing his
officer
head down
was
to the kid's trying to
fired
get
from
up.
BSO. Sergeant
punch,
LaCerra is
right?
on restricted duty.
I don't have a
The
problem with
Broward
it.
State Attorney's Office tells CBS 4 News.
Yeah, when you slow the video down, you can't slow it down, but our attorney slowed it really down, right? And you can see the kid he's trying to like almost do a push up and get Krikovich off his back.
Now,
and you see it.
Here's my I remember when that came out, and I remember watching it. Now I'm going to give you, this is my unfiltered opinion from watching that. Pretty much, I try to be very I like to be surprised. So I didn't study this before we talked. Watching that video, if that was you three and just that kid, it doesn't look as good. I still think it's okay. Everything that happened, I would still agree with, depending on the type of call. In that scenario, with that amount of people around, and the situation you just described, you pepper sprayed him to get back. You bought him, so you have to throw him on the ground or grab him. He's trying to get away. You pull him to the ground. He's trying to get up. He's trying to get away. He's not complying. If he puts his hands behind his back, he's not going to get punched. And I agree with everything you said. And I wouldn't do that. If I didn't agree with it, I would tell you right to your face. But I can see where, when you're in Broward County and the way they spin it, you could make that be as ugly as you want to make it if you're a liberal state attorney or a liberal sheriff, or you can make it as quick and easy as you want to make it and go, don't resist, don't do what he did, don't gather. And the other part of it is, like we talked about violence, is if I'm in that crowd and I'm running my mouth and I see you guys pepper spray, dump, and hook this kid up in that fashion, I'm done. I'm like, yep, these are the right guys. I'm not fucking with these guys. We don't want no more problems. We're going to get out of there. So I don't understand how anybody got charged. I don't understand how anybody got arrested. I don't understand why anybody was on admin leave. I don't understand. And I'm sure you're going to fill us in a little bit about the boss and why you ended up there, but I don't see any problem with that arrest.
Yeah, it's disgusting what they did. You know, the state attorney had the case for 2 months. BSO sent everything over to them. They did not send a probable cause affidavit for any of us. The Broward Sheriff's Office and the sheriff and his command staff cleared us the following day after this incident, which will tell you the story and what the sheriff did to us later on.
So tell us. So let's go here. So every agency is different. I know. I don't know if you recently, I'm sure, saw the one up in black kid getting punched in the face in Jacksonville.
Yes.
Through the window. Okay. So in that one, I guess the Jacksonville's protocol is that there is a like oversight board and a review of the use of force immediately. How is Broward County handle that?
So Broward BSO has a use of force review board.
Okay.
The sergeant that was in charge of that board is the use of force expert for BSO, and he's also a use of force expert that is used by other agencies.
Okay.
And he met the following day. He went up to the 5th floor of the public safety building for the sheriff's office. The entire command staff was up there, including the sheriff. He walked the sheriff through the entire video
So they
told
have the
the
video at
sheriff.
that point. That video right
They
there.
have it. They have everything. They have our body cameras. They have that video. That video got posted on social media.
Yeah.
Again, I have to tell you, I never saw what happened there because I had my back to them, and it happened very quickly. I just turned around and they're handcuffing them. I had no idea that there was any resistance whatsoever. And I just remember my captain coming into me later on that day. He's like, "Hey, did you see this video?" I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now." And he showed me the video. So, and we both knew that that was going to blow up because it was already spreading on social media.
Well,
So anyway,
it was going to blow up, but it could have, with the right person in charge and the right person to stand in front of a camera and say it's not blowing up. I also
yeah,
I think the guy in Jacksonville, even though I'm on the fence, like I said, I didn't like the punch in the face. I didn't like their use of force. I wasn't a fan of it, but he still came out, and even with that video, which is ugly compared to this one, he still kind of stood his ground with his guys, saying, "Hey,
yeah.
shit's rough." If your sheriff comes out, I think, and just says, this will not be an issue. These guys are good to go. I
Mm.
mean, seems
Yeah,
like it.
unfortunately, in Broward County is you probably know it's the most liberal county in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Um, and he wasn't going to do that, which is spineless to me because there's a lot of police chiefs and sheriffs that do the same thing, and it disgusts me because you got to have your guys back. If they did everything right, you gotta make sure that you tell everybody they've done everything right. And
But
listen, even if
he
they've done something wrong, you should still have their back and allow this investigation to go through to
yes,
make sure whether they did something wrong or they didn't, and address it at that point in time.
but he is. These Florida sheriffs, they're all very similar. They're loud when it's convenient for them. And and you'll see him. He defended there's a couple guys he defended not too long ago, and he was yelling on TV, Greg Toney,
Mhm.
and blah blah blah. But it's a safe situation. He's never going to go out on a limb when it's controversial because I can't stand the guy. I see his social media. He's a TikTok clown. Everything's about me, 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 me. All he cares
Yeah.
about is himself. I know the real stories. I talk to guys that work down there. I know he has a recruiting disaster. I know guys are leaving that agency in record numbers, and he's begging other
Yep.
agencies not to hire him. I know all the dirt. And he gets loud on TV once in a while when it's a 99.9% slam dunk, and he acts like he's big supporter of his guys.
Yeah.
This is the one where your street crimes guys are out dealing with pretty much like Iraq, like war out here in the streets. And this is when he cowers down and shows that he's really a spineless dude. And this is where the real sheriffs would stand up and go, "Hey man, just like we said, this shit's violent. These kids are showing up every day. There's a suspect in an aggravated assault with a firearm standing there. They got all this shit going on. Sucks to
And what
suck."
gets Yeah, and what gets me is they all knew that because
Yeah.
I made sure that my guys put it in their reports like, hey, we need to put in our reports exactly why we were there. Coral Springs was looking for him. I want all that shit in there. Okay. Because I
Yeah.
kind of already knew just with my experience, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I already knew where this was going. I could see it going that way. I know how Broward County is, and I knew how our sheriff was, and I was hoping I was wrong about him, but I wasn't. And so the next day, Krikovich gets called down to the public safety building, and they're going to put him on restricted duty.
Okay.
I drive him down. He's my guy. I'm driving him down there. I'm walking him in there. We're met at the back door by Major Amy Russo, who happens to be our major in Tamarack. And she says, "Hey, listen, I want to tell you guys that the sheriff and we were all upstairs and the entire command staff. We saw the video. Mel Murphy, who was our use of force expert, he walked the sheriff through everything. Everything is fine. Chris, we're just putting you on restricted duty just to protect yourself, just to protect you because things are getting out of hand, blah, blah, blah." So I walk into internal affairs with them. They put him on restricted duty. He gets told again, "Hey, you guys did nothing wrong. We have your back," blah, blah, blah. We walk out. Same major, Russo. She stops us again. She's like, "Listen, Again, I just want to tell you, we all support you guys. You didn't do anything wrong. And in fact, Greg, everybody upstairs was laughing at how quick you had the pepper spray up and you pepper sprayed that kid. And, I said, well, I appreciate the support. We walked out the back door. And as soon as we walked outside, I look at Chris, I go, document that. He's like, document what? I go, document that conversation. I'm documenting the conversation. You need to go home and you need to document that conversation because I'm calling bullshit on this. Okay, because these people are full of shit.
Let me stop you real quick for guys watching. I've been through this. If a conversation like that happens and you document the date and time and write it down, it beats the hearsay rule because now you've documented a date and time, you've written it down. So if you end up in a use of force situation or something with your agency where they tell you something like this or they say something wild or that catches you like, what are they talking about? Immediately write it. This comes from attorneys. Immediately write it down because if you document the date and the time immediately after the conversation, it's not hearsay and it's actually can be brought into court. So I wanted to make sure guys understand that. And that's very smart of you to make that documentation.
I even went a step further when we were in the car and I was taking him home. I'm like, listen, anyone above your rank calls you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't answer it. If you do answer it, document the time and what the conversation was about. If you don't answer it, send them the voicemail. Maybe they'll leave a message because they'll be stupid and leave a message. Or text them. If they text you, save it. Well,
because these are the times when you're not supposed to talk. And this is when all the talking really does happen. I went through it too. Yeah. In my IA, I'm not supposed to talk. The sheriff talked to me about it against the state statute. Captains talked to me about it. Oh, you're good. Don't worry. So this is when all those, the backdoor and all the rumor mill and all the bullshit starts to happen. So documenting all those conversations is very important.
And we did. And I think more of them called me than they called Chris because most of the command staff knew me because I've worked with a lot of them. Some of them I was deputies with. So, I sent them the voicemail and they left voicemails. The colonel of the Department of Law Enforcement for BSO, and he left me like 3 voicemails. It was great. We'll talk about that later. But he, so I take him home. I go back to work. I'm furious about what's going on, what's happening. A little while later, I get a phone call from the acting captain of internal affairs. It turned out he's a major. I'm not going to mention his name. He's a great guy. He called me. He's a friend of mine. He's like, listen, I wanted to tell you, but you're being put on restricted duty. He goes, where are you? I go, I'm on my way to my daughter's softball game, and I'm not turning around to go back to internal affairs right now. I go, I'm not missing this game. She was a senior in high school. I wasn't missing her games.
Good for you.
So he said, listen, it's not a problem. Just let me know when you're on your way back to Tamarack. I'll have my guys meet you there, blah, blah. So, I get put on restricted duty, and, of course, I'm not happy with this whole thing.
Just the same day?
Same day, just later in the day.
Okay.
Just later in the day.
After being told you're good to go.
Yeah. So actually, so we were actually suspended with pay. I think we weren't on restricted duty. We were suspended because I was at home. So the other guy doesn't happen to him. It just happens to me and Krikovich. So for 2 months, we're in limbo while the state attorney is doing their thing. Ben Crump comes down pretty quickly, and he has a couple press conferences at the public defender's office in Broward County. He has press conferences demanding that we be fired and arrested. Ben Crump, we don't need to talk about it. He's a piece of shit. So 2 months go by. I'm on my way to July 4th weekend. I'm in the car with my wife and one of my kids, and we're driving up north somewhere, Central Florida area, on the beach. And I get a phone call, hey, you're getting charged. The state attorney just charged you. What do you mean they charged me? So I get told, I can tell you exactly where I was when I got the phone call. I'm getting charged with 2 counts of battery, and the battery, all of it bothered me, right? But the next 2 counts infuriated me, which was falsifying a police report and conspiracy to falsify a police report. I worked in narcotics for most of my career. I know what conspiracy is. So you better have some phone calls and text messages, which I know they didn't have for a conspiracy. Where does that come from? Yeah, so I get we get charged, and I get that phone call that I'm getting charged, and the 2 counts of battery. I don't know where it cut out, but the 2 that really irritated me was with falsification and conspiracy to falsify, right? And we didn't falsify any reports. Bullshit. I
It was
would
reviewed
never
by
do
the
that.
department, and the department reviewed all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah. I listen. I didn't even approve our reports. I had another sergeant approve my guys' reports because I'm allowed to approve our reports, but I had another sergeant do it, and I had my lieutenant look at it, right? And before it went downtown, so we get charged with all this nonsense. So I have to turn around. I have to go back to BSO. I drop my wife off. She takes one car. I go down to the public safety building, and before I go down there, hey, you need to bring all your gear with you. Like, I'm not bringing all my gear. I'm on my way out of town. You guys just fucking interrupted that. It's July 4th weekend. I go, I'm not bringing all my gear. So they were like, all right, don't bring the gear. Just come down here. So I go down there, and I'm extremely agitated that I'm getting charged. My guys are getting charged. This is ridiculous. We didn't do anything wrong. Just to back up, a week before we got charged, Ben Crump came into town, that piece of shit, and he said, these guys better be charged before July 4th, or we're going to have a rally down here in protest if they're not charged. On July 3rd, we're charged by the state attorney because Ben Crump came down here and said it. Weak, corrupt state attorneys. They're weak and they're corrupt. Every last one of them.
Democrats, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Everything's Democrat in Broward County. So we get charged. I go out of town. I go back out of town, and obviously the July 4th weekend was just a wash because
when you say charged, were you like booked, or were you just like
no, we weren't booked.
Direct info from the state attorney just filed direct information?
Correct.
Okay.
Why didn't they bring us in? Because they knew they had shit. They knew their case was bullshit. The state attorney didn't uncover any new evidence for 2 months. It was the same. Everything that most of the stuff that you've seen, there was nothing new.
It's all I have. That's the easy. I was thinking that the whole time you were saying it is just like mine took 6 months till I was demoted. You watch that video, you're clear. Nothing changes in 2 months. It's the same video from the same day with the same outcome, with the same. You can watch it 3,000 times. You can watch it 3 times. You can watch it 3 billion times. Nothing changes. If it's that bad, everybody goes, man, it's bad. And the agency would have said, man, it's bad. And you guys would have been arrested right away. If it takes 2 months to figure out charging somebody, it ain't that bad. And it's not a crime. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're right. The state attorney their use of force expert was in California.
Oh.
That's where they went. This guy, we looked him up, and he is from a small agency that has never got into a tussle or a riot like that. We looked it up. He's their use of force expert. So let's talk
about that real quick. That's a huge problem, because where this also came up recently was the taser up in Ohio, where the guy got the taser taken away and he shoots a guy in the back of the head in the front yard and kills him.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked into that case, there was a hung jury, and they didn't refile it. He's good to go. Their use of force expert worked at Tallahassee Police Department for like 2 years, 3 years. Then he worked for some state agency, and then he went to college and became a professor. And that's who the defense attorney was allowed to bring in the court as a expert in use of force. A guy with less than 5 years on the road in a agency like that, and then he was like a state agent. So that's another flaw in the court system, that they would even why would you need to go to California to find some guy to say the cops did something wrong? You have a whole state. You have use of force experts just breathing and walking around Florida. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
why would you need to go to California?
Yeah.
To get all the way to California. Yeah, I mean, that's another part of corruption in the government and with the state. Because I say this about grand juries too. a grand jury goes whatever way the state attorney wants it to go. If they like it, you're cleared. If they don't like it, you're going to be indicted. And that is the opinion of the state attorney who presents the evidence in the manner that they see fit. That is like the most powerful position. And a lot of young cops don't realize this. I always say this. The most powerful person in the justice system is the state attorney, because they can get rid of it. They can file. They can do what they did to you. They can wake up one day and not like it. They can go to bed and like it again. It doesn't get to a judge or a jury unless it gets through the state, or they can indict you like they did to you guys just because they feel like they need to. That is a huge problem in our justice system.
Yeah. So when I was looking at the transcripts of our attorneys went out and deposed him.
The use of force expert.
The use of force expert. But when I was looking at his testimony from the state attorney, I'm sorry, when I was looking at his deposition from our attorneys, he kept on saying, I don't have a problem with LaCerra pepper spraying that kid. That kid bowed up to him. That kid had a clenched fist. And my attorney kept on asking him, and so did Krikovich's attorney, kept on getting to my point of me pepper spraying him, because that's what started it, right? And he kept on saying to him, I don't know why you guys keep on asking me that. I don't have a problem with LaCerra pepper spraying him. So
Which was your battery charge. That was your battery charge.
Yes, that was one of my battery charges.
So their use of force expert said he didn't have a problem with the battery that you were charged with.
Correct.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And our policy says when you pepper spray him, and I'm sure yours did too, you immediately get that person to the ground. And that's exactly what I did. You immediately get him to the ground. So, and he didn't really have a problem with me getting him to the ground. He did and he didn't, but it doesn't matter. The state attorney is going to charge us anyway. So eventually, after that deposition, the state dropped one of the battery charges for me. And then we did a stand your ground hearing. My attorney, Eric Schwartzwright, he had done the first stand your ground in Florida when it came to a shooting in Oakland Park, and he won the case. And so we did stand your ground for us on this one. The judge granted stand your ground to me, denied it for Krikovich. So the third guy, just to catch up, he did a speedy trial for his falsification and conspiracy to falsify. Was found that the judge threw out the conspiracy thing before it even went to the jury, because there was nothing there. There was no evidence of it, of a conspiracy. They didn't present anything other than they said our reports were worded similar. That was their conspiracy. This is the fucking state attorney.
Because you saw the same thing.
That's
called consistency. Because if your reports all read different, there would be a huge problem. But because they were done correctly, is a problem.
That's why the state attorney charges with conspiracy, because our reports were worded similar.
And that's where they're too powerful. For you to even be charged with that when there's no evidence of it is a huge problem.
Yeah. So he wins that. He gets put back to work. I get put back to restricted duty right after his case is over. They bring me in and they put me back to restricted duty. So now I got to go in the office, which I'd have rather been suspended with pay. So
what do you still? So at that point, you've beat your battery charge. They said that got dumped for stand your ground.
That was later on. They put the stand your ground one, and so we think because Mackey had won his case for the conspiracy and the falsification bullshit, we think that the state is going to drop those charges on us because it's all the same shit, right? No. They never did. It took them 3.5 years. And a judge warning them and reminding the state attorney during open court of his oath, and even saying to him, the Broward state attorney has allowed politics into this case. And I'm reminding you of your oath moving forward. So be very careful what you say to us, because we had a motion to dismiss on those charges. So eventually those charges get thrown out. Those were the last of my charges, right? That was 3 years later, though.
So it took you sat on restrictive duty for 3 years?
3.5 years.
And that's just going to work, sitting down, going home.
Yeah. So, I was watching one of your episodes the other day when you were talking to somebody about mental health and how command staff is full of shit, that they care about us and all this other stuff. I don't remember who it was, but anyway, I laughed. I smiled because That's exactly what they did to me, and it's what they did to Krikovich. But for me, Krikovich, by the end of December of 2019, he fired Krikovich.
Greg Toney.
What happened? Greg Toney did, and I'll get to that really quick in a minute, but about how they did that and how they disciplined me, even though our criminal case wasn't over with. But let me just go back to what I was saying about the mental health bullshit. So I get put on restricted duty, and I lived at the time. I lived in the city of Coral Springs. So there was a few districts up north that I could have just driven to every day, but they didn't do that to me. They decided we want LaCerra to come down to headquarters, and that's where he's going to be assigned every day. So I go down to headquarters, and I'm assigned to a new unit, which is the real-time crime center.
Hey, that's where I ended up.
The captain, great guy, but he wanted shirt and ties. Okay.
Church clothes, I call it.
Yeah, church clothes. I'm on restricted duty. I'm not getting paid. I can't work details, can't work overtime, straight pay.
Flat pay, yeah.
Do I have 5 days worth of shirt and ties? No. Had to go out and buy shirt and ties, spend some money to go do that. But I have to go to the PSB every day, the public safety building. That's our headquarters. I have to go there every day. Who do you fucking think I run into all the time? The fucking sheriff.
Yeah.
And his weak, not all of them, but a few weak, spineless command staff. I have to go in an elevator every day, and I have to go up to where I got to go, and I run into him every fucking day.
This is funny because this is exactly what happened to me. I got stuck in RTC, the real-time crime center as well, and that spineless sheriff I have and all his people come through there and parading people through every day, and I'm sitting over there just
same thing.
Yep.
I used to have to leave.
I know where you're going with this too. It's great for your mental health. I know where you're going with it. So go ahead.
So at some point in time, I just can't do this anymore. I'm stressed out. I went 2 months of not being paid. But I got that back paid back. But the stress of possibly being found guilty and losing your job and maybe going to jail for some bullshit. And Mike, you don't know me, but I took Krikovich and Mackey under my belt. Mackey was done at that point in time, but Krikovich wasn't. And I had a lot of stress on me because of him. Let me tell you why. I'm the sergeant of the unit. I told my guys we're going there that day. I initiated the first arrest. I initiated the pepper spray and all this shit.
Yeah.
This
So
kid only had
you feel responsible.
100% responsible. And there's, he only had 10, 11 years on the job at the time. He's at this point in time, he's already been fired by Toney. And, so there's a lot of stress on me. And now I'm going to the PSB every day and I'm running into these people that I can't stand. And I have to bite my tongue. And, it's funny because there's some people in command staff that know me well and would just say, just bite your tongue. I know that's hard for you, but you need to bite it. And I did. And that was good advice. I'm walking downstairs one day and I run into the major, my major, Amy Russo. And I'd say, hey, I need to talk to you outside. So we walk outside and she happened to be my neighbor at the time when I lived down there. And I said, hey, listen, I need a favor. And I said, I haven't asked for any favors, but I need one. I need out of here. What's wrong? I go, I'm stressed out to the max. She goes, well, what do you mean? I go, I don't know. What do you think I mean? I'm stressed out to the max. I need to get out of this building. There's absolutely no reason for me to be here. It's way out of the way from my house. I'm driving my personal car. I'm not being reimbursed for that. Okay. I'm going into a building and I'm sitting in the RTCC and I'm not allowed to do anything. I was told, command staff said, LaCerra just sits at a desk and that's all he does. Well, fuck, just leave me at home if you're going to do that to me.
Yeah.
So telling me I'm not allowed to do anything, but sit there and making me drive there every day, shirt and tie, for no reason, just to sit there. And I said, I'm stressed out. I don't want to do this anymore, And I said, this is exactly why. And this wasn't my thought process. I go, but I told her because I just say what's on my mind. I go, this is why fucking cops put guns in their mouth.
100%.
This is exactly why. Because you guys do this shit to them, right?
Yep. You guys went through all that shit on the news, in a fight, all that stuff. That's your job. You guys justified it as your job. You knew it was your job. No stress. What causes you the stress? Those pieces of shit inside that fucking building
Yeah.
that treat you like fucking animals and that like you're like a parasite. That's what wears on your head because you think they all
Yeah.
care about you, and then you find
No,
out they don't.
They
Yeah.
don't. And I didn't get to this because we talked about it before we came on, but I had two kids. Two of my daughters were in school in Broward County. One was at Fort Lauderdale High School. She was a senior, and one was a junior at Taravella, where all these kids came from. Both my kids got harassed. The one in Taravella, we almost pulled her out of the school because of it. We had to keep it a secret that she was my kid, but there were certain people that did know that she was my kid, right? But all those kids that were involved in that fight came from that school that day. I had one of her teachers. I talked to each of the SROs at both schools, but especially at that school. They knew both their schedules and they checked on them every day on every class. They would go in and check on them. One of my kids that went the girl that went to Taravella, one of her teachers started talking about the case in class and started putting two and two together, but didn't exactly cross the line. And my daughter came home and told me, and I said, I'm going to the fucking school tomorrow. I'm going to rip somebody's fucking head off is what I was going to do. Right.
Yeah.
I was fucking furious. And my daughter begged me. She goes, no, I think I got it under control. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, if she says another word to you, I want to know about it right away. You know, talking about this case in class. My face had been all over the news. All of our faces have been all over the news. When this happened, Mike, and I didn't tell you this part, we had so many threats against our families and us.
Imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine.
They put a marked unit in front of our house with a deputy in it for 3 weeks, 24/7, because of all the threats we were getting. There were people arrested. There was I think 5 people arrested for the threats against us. And I blame the politicians for this. I blame, guys that were running for sheriff at the time, because it was an election year. There were some people running for sheriff who I went after when I saw them for the things that they fucking said. And I went after the sheriff at some point in time. I had a little conversation with the sheriff. So at a restaurant one night when I saw him there. So yeah, a lot of stress. Go back to what I was telling you. The major says to me, all right, I'll get back to you. 9 months fucking later. 9 months later, I get a phone call. Hey, I hear you want to leave. Yeah, to be honest with you, Colonel, that was 9 months ago, but I still want to leave. Oh, we're going to get you out of there. Okay, thanks. So, like you said the other day, and like the guy you were interviewing said, they don't give a shit.
Nope.
There are some that do. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm telling you, Major, that I'm stressed out, this is why cops want to fucking put a gun in their mouth, because of what you put them through, of what you guys put them through, not her necessarily. Hey, let's get LaCerra out of here. No, 9 months later.
Well, I think the problem is, and I ran into this, and I still deal with it. You're right. There are good people mixed in, but those people still have their own lives and their own families, and when it comes down to it, they're going to always do what's best for them. And there's a very few, like my buddy Lieutenant Matheson, Christian Matheson, 100% would, under any circumstances, always do the right thing. You don't find very many people in your career that are that straight up, but most people will understand what you're going through and really feel bad with what you're going through. But as a captain or a major, they're not going to go in there and raise hell for you. They're just going to maybe try to bring it up, maybe even not, just be like, yeah, man, I get it. But that's the problem is, and most of those guys like Greg Toney surround themselves with yes men and spineless people. So they're not going to buck him or the system. So that's, unfortunately, that's what happens. You said 9 more months because nobody's really willing to go to bat. They understand your concern, but they're too weak to go, this is what's right. I'm going to stand up for this guy if it means I'm going to get demoted or move. Nobody's willing to really do that. You find a few. There's very few. And I happen to work with one for 23 years of my life, Christian Matheson, who is that type of guy. We both got transferred at the same time and got hosed the same day. And I would die for that dude. But most guys that, oh man, that's crazy what happened to you. I really feel bad. Well, go say something. Oh man. Oh, they're not going to.
Yeah, so to back up, like, so the day after we're charged, I go out of town. 4 days later, I come back into town, and the sheriff's office, internal affairs, said, "Hey, when you get back into town, please gather all your stuff together, and we'll come to the house and pick it up." No problem. The IA sergeant, I'd worked with them as a deputy. We were friends. He didn't do anything. He didn't. I have the utmost respect for him. The day I come home, I start throwing shit in a plastic garbage bag, and I'm throwing stuff. And my wife's like, she's trying to get me to calm down. I'm not calming down. This is 19 years of my life that I'm throwing in a plastic bag. She's like, "Hey, let's just go grab some food and let's just get out of the house." So we go to a restaurant that we always go to. I drop her off and I go park the car, and she's sitting down, and I come walking in, and the first person I see sitting at a high top at the bar is Sheriff Toney. And I just kind of looked at him. He didn't see me. I walked and I sat down, and my wife's like, "What's wrong?" I go, "Look who's fucking sitting right over there." And she's like, "Oh shit." She goes, "What are you going to do?" I go, "What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go fucking have a conversation with this guy, because I'm never going to talk. They're never going to let me talk to him at work." So I gathered my thoughts and went over and said hi to Sheriff Toney. And I said to him, he was there with his wife. And I said, "Hey, you've been saying my name a lot. So just want to put a face to it." I introduced myself to him. And I said, "All I wanted to do is introduce myself to you. That's it." So he's like, "No, what's going on? Tell me what's going on." I go, "No, don't want to talk shop." I go, "I do want to have a meeting with you if you can make that happen and work." He goes, "No, let's talk now." I go, "No, you know what, Sheriff? I don't want to do that right now. You're here with your wife. I'm here with my wife, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "No, Greg, let's talk." So, all right. You've done that twice to me now. I'm going in. So I went in there and I told him, I said, "Listen, there's no reason for us to be suspended without pay. We both have mortgages. I have 5 kids. Some are in college, some are getting ready to go to college. you know, and I'm not getting paid. This is ridiculous. We didn't do anything wrong." And I heard that you said that we didn't do anything wrong. This is what he says to me. "You guys didn't do anything wrong. Nothing. Mel, the use of force expert, walked us through it that day. You guys did everything good." He's telling me that he got into an argument with the state attorney, who was Mike Satz at the time. And, Mike Satz said to me, "Well, I'm going to teach you how politics work in Broward County," which is why we got charged. So he says, "I got into a shouting match with him about this because you guys didn't do anything wrong." Okay, that's great. And I told him, I go, "Hey, I appreciate that." I go, "But hey, can you put us back on paid status? Suspended with pay. There's no reason why we should be suspended without pay." I go, "Guys that get DUIs," and I remember, he's a brand new sheriff to Broward County. He's brand new to being anything, really. He'd only been a cop for a few years. I said, "Sheriff, guys that get DUIs get put on restricted duty and they still get paid. Okay, we got charged with misdemeanors here. Okay, this is bullshit. And you know that we didn't do anything wrong. So put us on paid status. Don't disrupt our lives." And then he turned on me, basically with a snap of the fingers, and he got pissed at me that I was talking to him. I go, "No problem." I go, "But just understand, you did tell me numerous times to go ahead and say what was on my mind." So I did. So anyway, we ended the conversation. I go eat. I leave, and he's still there. He sees me leaving. He waves at me. He smiles at me. I'm like, "Man, this guy's all over the place." He loves me, and then he's yelling at me for interrupting his lunch, and now he's waving at me goodbye, right? So, that was that, and that's what he said to me. So, and I'm not sure how it works where you were working, but anytime there's an IA case, that case is open. When it turns into a criminal investigation, they toll the case, they pause it, they
Yes.
pause the administrative case, right? So that's what happens. That's what's always happened at BSO since the existence of it. So, but what they did in our case is they paused it, and then the sheriff told internal affairs, "Open it back up." Internal affairs command, all great guys, said, "Can't do that." And he said, "You will do that." "I want that case open again." And he opened it, and he ordered them to open that case again. Okay. One of the commanders almost got fired because he was arguing with the sheriff about this, that he shouldn't be doing this. They reopened the case. So the internal affairs case is now open again. They tried bringing us in for Garrity. Why our criminal case, we had only had one hearing on our criminal case. That was it. So they keep it, they try to bring us in for Garrity. Our attorneys say absolutely not. They're not coming in to give any Garrity statements here. They wrote the sheriff a letter saying you're violating their rights, all this stuff. So we weren't forced into Garrity. We were initially, and then they backed off of it, right? So they complete their investigation. So to go back to something you had said earlier, once the investigation is done by internal affairs, it then goes to what BSO calls the Professional Standards Committee. And it's got 4 command staff, 11 people on it, 4 command staff, a union representative, and then the rest are civilians. And they get the entire IA file on your case. So my case and Krikovich's case goes in front of the board, and we're exonerated on all counts. On all counts, we're exonerated, right? 2 weeks later, the sheriff holds a press conference. He decided to change Krikovich's use of force to sustained and my use of force to sustained. Then he used that.
He goes against the Professional Standards Board.
Yes, and against his use of force expert, and against everything that he said to everybody that they did nothing wrong, including me, right? He uses that to fire Krikovich in December and discipline me, giving me 3 days off, right? So at Broward Sheriff's Office, once your internal affairs case discipline is rendered, your IA case is closed. So I started questioning, hey, my IA case is closed. I want to go back to work. No, you can't go back to work. Well, why can't I go back to work? Well, because you have you have charges with the state attorney and you can't do it. I go, you shouldn't have closed my IA case. You guys are keeping me in restricted duty on a closed IA case. How are you doing that? And nobody can answer that question. And that's why cases get told and they pause, because you can't do that to guys, right? So I stay on restricted duty for 3 years on a closed internal affairs case. So I wasn't allowed to work details, overtime, nothing. I missed 2 lieutenant's exams because I was on it. All this stuff. So think of all the money I lost, and I lost interest today. It's probably up to $250,000 that I lost because they did that to me. So yeah, so the sheriff, we end up winning our cases. Obviously, all my charges got thrown out, and I was put back to work immediately. It was no, when you get charged criminally and your criminal case is over with, then your administrative case starts up again, not mine and not Krikovich's, because I started right back up. Krikovich had to go through arbitration. The arbitrator went after BSO for firing Chris. He attacked BSO for what they did. He said, you guys violated their Officer Bill of Rights by how you acted, all this stuff. And that's when we started bringing in some command staff for testimony because we had their text messages that they sent me. One colonel, he's retired. He's a piece of shit. I thought I was friends with that guy. I respected him. His name's Dave Holmes. I have no problem saying his name. He's a piece of shit. He texted me and left me voicemails. You guys did nothing wrong, blah, blah, blah. We presented all that stuff, in my case when I was fighting my 3 days off. And we also presented it in the arbitration for Krikovich. He also wrote a text message to my captain, saying, my captain said, hey, you told me, you and Amy Russo, here's that major again, said my guys did nothing wrong the day after this happened. They were good and everybody said they were good, and he says, I can't remember exactly what the quote is, but, he says, it is what it is. He kind of badmouthed Sheriff Toney, the colonel did. So We used that during his testimony in arbitration, and he lied, saying he never said anything like that. And we presented the text message to him, and he's like, "That's not my text message." It was a text message between you and a captain, and he lied under oath. And the old BSO presented that case to the state attorney's office, which was bullshit. It was all for show. They weren't going to do nothing. And the state attorney, denied the case immediately, that they're not going to prosecute him for lying under oath. But and then another colonel came in who was on the PSC board, who exonerated Krikovich. Andrew Dunbar, he still works there. Zero, again, a guy that I respected. I have zero respect for that guy. He's a piece of shit too. He sat there and said, Chris, the BSO attorney said, "Hey, would you, knowing all the things that you know now that you didn't know when you got the IA case, would you come up with a different conclusion when it came to Krikovich instead of exonerating him?" He goes, "I'd find him guilty." That's what he said. And I'm sitting there looking at him because I happened to be in the room because I was the union representative at the time. And I'm like, "Guilty? You're not in a court of law, you fucking moron," you know? But again, he changed his story because he was worried about his job, or he's just spineless. They're spineless people.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And listen, the sheriff is spineless too. He, his past. I'm sure you've talked about his past. The guy's lied on his police applications. He shot and killed a guy when he was 15 years old. Didn't tell anybody about it. He's suspended DL numerous times. Check fraud. Used LSD.
I can't understand why DeSantis appointed him. Of all the good things Ron DeSantis has done, that is a failure.
Yeah, the thing I have with DeSantis is, okay, you took a guy that worked out with Greg Toney, who lost his daughter at MSD. You took his advice, "Hey, get this guy," right? And you took him. But shortly thereafter, you realized, somebody made a mistake with the background checks. Own up to it and say, "You know what? You cannot be a sheriff."
Yeah,
Sheriff Greg Toney, I have a problem calling him a sheriff. Okay.
Bad.
He should not have a uniform, a badge, nor a gun. The guy shot and killed somebody when he was 15 years old, and it wasn't self-defense because he shot the guy 5 fucking times, and one or two times was in the head. So I don't want to hear it was self-defense. Okay. And the guy didn't have a gun. Shouldn't be sheriff.
No.
Lying on police report or lying on police applications, that would never, anytime that happened to any of us, if that would happen to an applicant, you're not going to be a cop. And how DeSantis is sitting there allowing this guy to still be sheriff of Broward County is disgusting. He plays politics with everything.
Yeah.
With everything.
Blows my mind. So you guys both of you end up getting your jobs, or you never left, but you got exonerated. Krikovich ends up getting his job back, correct?
Correct.
He wins arbitration, gets full back pay. How long was he actually out?
4 years.
So he got paid 4 years back pay and gets reinstated at the.
He got paid. Yeah, he got paid 4 years. He even got paid for lost overtime, which is where, for me, that didn't happen for me because I didn't get fired. And I couldn't fight BSO until after my charges were dropped finally, So, but yeah, he got all that. Great for him. But, listen, BSO's still playing a game with him. He was trying to get, you know what, I'm not even want to go there because I don't want to hurt Chris in any way.
I'm sure.
He's a great guy, but,
But needless to say, when it all shook out at the end, you both were found not guilty, or your charges were dropped. He was found not guilty by a jury. He gets 4 years back pay and all his overtime back pay. Gets his reinstated. He's back hired, and yours went away. They removed it. It's off your record. You didn't it was all did anything happen to the state attorney? I mean, how did that?
No.
I know.
I tried to get attorneys to go after them, and I couldn't get anybody to do it.
It's tough.
Melissa. It is tough. Melissa's prosecution is tough to go after. I have the audio of the courtroom that day where the judge is admonishing the state attorney and telling him, "You've allowed politics to come in to this case and charge these guys." She's setting the table for it, and I just couldn't get anybody to do it. And it's disgusting because now both those attorneys that were involved in our case are both federal attorneys now. They're federal prosecutors. You know, one of them was running for state attorney back then. He uses our video for a campaign ad saying, I'm prosecuting these cops. Why? He's actively prosecuting us. He uses that a campaign video. Just the state attorney's office. Listen, I know there's good people there because I had a lot of state attorneys call me and say, you guys did nothing wrong. We can't stand this place and how people act. And of course I had people at BSO say the same thing, you know, but it's corrupt. You know, the state attorney's office is corrupt. The sheriff's office has good people in it, but you have a corrupt sheriff. You have a sheriff. He shouldn't be sheriff. He should not have a gun or a badge or a uniform. And there's people underneath him that have no spine. And they were friends of mine. I don't talk to them anymore. You don't call me and check on me, and you didn't have my back. You're not a friend of mine anymore. They're spineless pieces of shit is what they are. It's not all of them, but some of them.
It's the toughest, and probably in the episode you watched, that's what I talk about, is that's the toughest lesson in law enforcement. Is, I always say, it's not the kids dying, it's not the rollover crashes, it's not the suicides that you go to. It's when you go through a critical incident and you go through something like this and you realize that nobody that you worked around for 20 years cares. They're not willing to back you up. They're not willing to go out on a limb. And you'll find a few. I'm not saying everybody. There's a few, just like you talked about. There's a few, but the majority of people are self-servant and they don't care, and they'll egg you on to like buck the system. If you're like, I was a buck the system type guy. I would post on social media and talk about the fucked up stuff at the agency. I was willing to do it. It ultimately led to my demise, but they don't check on you. They don't care. And the other side of it is, if we made a case like this, if we're like your street crimes and drugs and warrants, if we wrote a warrant on a guy and it was that fucked up, we would get arrested. Like if our case was that fucked up against somebody like a drug dealer, that piece of shit drug dealer, and we had all this bad evidence and all that shit they pulled on you guys, they'd look at that and go, hey, these guys can't be cops anymore. But now you have an entire administration and an entire state attorney's office that fucked you guys sideways, concocted bullshit, fabricated, drug it out, and then ultimately you guys are completely exonerated, which we could see from the video at the beginning, and your 11-man board cleared you immediately, and there's no consequences for any of them.
Mm-mm.
There's
no consequences.
Insane. And that's where guys kill themselves. That's where mental health comes into it. When you're that beat and you go, man, I'm like, nobody believes, nobody understands. And until, like, that's why it's so easy to relate to this and hear it, because until you've been through it, nobody really gets it. You can tell your friends, you can tell everybody, they don't understand the feeling of this.
They don't. I mean, my close friends understood it because they stood by my side from, day one on it. And, I think I told you on the phone before that there was, what shocked me is there was people who I thought were my friends that weren't. And there was people who I didn't think really liked me, and maybe they didn't, but those guys checked on me all the time. So it just showed me they may not have liked how I was as a supervisor or whatever, but they at least respected me, which told me all I needed to know, that I'm doing the right thing as a supervisor, right?
I could not.
There's a difference. There's a difference between respect and being liked. And I don't respect a lot of people in the command staff of the sheriff's office. They know who they are. They're spineless. All they care about is themselves. The sheriff is one of them. All he cares about is fucking doing workout videos, and he hired a camera crew of 3 or 4 people to follow him around all day, and and take pictures and videos, and it's just disgusting.
It's so bad.
We're hiring people. They are now, because I'm not there anymore. But I would go do DLE interviews. Because I was a sergeant. And, hey, why do you want to become a sheriff or deputy sheriff for the Broward Sheriff's Office? And we get guys that, well, I get inspired by Sheriff Toney's videos, workout videos. And I'm like, well, you just failed that part of it.
Yeah.
You're talking to the wrong guy telling me that, but it's just horrible what goes on.
And to wrap it up, that's why these podcasts, and I think these social media groups like Counterculture that I'm part of, it's bringing these stories out, because the news is always going to spin it because news is just as much involved in politics and the game. News is always going to spin it one way, and your Ben Crumps get involved, and attorneys are going to spin it another way. But somewhere out here, we have to be able to tell these stories and get other cops to hear it, because I don't know that it's the greatest line of work anymore. And guys need to be prepared to have this stuff happen. And, you know, if it can happen at Broward County with 11-man oversight boards and people saying you're not guilty and you're fine and you still get charged, imagine what happens in a 2,500, 3,000 person town or a 10,000 person town where everybody, it's a telephone pole and everybody's related, you know, there's no family tree, and you get on the wrong side. You know, I get hundreds of calls and DMs from guys that are just like, I got on the wrong side. I don't know what to do. These guys are coming after me. I'm a good cop. And, you know, I have them send me documents and they're getting in trouble for like proactive police work. Oh, why are you on the interstate? Just wild stuff. And it's like, this is the stuff people need to hear and understand. I really appreciate you coming on and being willing to tell the story.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.